The sky is blue, the sun is hot, water makes things wet, water itself is not wet, and Boise State is picked as the preseason media favorite to win the Mountain West. So this doesn't come as a major surprise after they surged at the end of last year and won the Mountain West after firing their coach midseason. Like, that had to feel a little demoralizing for the rest of the conference, didn't it? That here's a great opportunity to get a real shot at a team that has won more Mountain West championships than other schools would probably like to have be the reality. And then they have to fire their coach. It's going so poorly. And then the new guy who was already on their staff just wins the Mountain West. Well, that's what Boise State did last year. Couple of things on their preseason favoritism. Number one, I don't know that it should be so substantial. Should they be the favorites? Would they be my pick? Yes. See how I'm kind of hesitating there? Like, my answer is yes. Boise State, preseason Mountain West favorite. I am on board with that notion. They got all but 4 preseason first place votes. The next team was UNLV. You want to talk about coaches that are primed to elevate themselves in the next coaching carousel? If UNLV has the sort of season that a lot of people might expect them to, then Barry Odom is probably not going to be in Las Vegas for much longer. And then Brennan Marion, the highly regarded and uniquely creative offensive coordinator, might find himself as the head coach of UNLV, or maybe he goes with Barry Odom somewhere. But that is definitely something that is a storyline to watch for as UNLV's season plays out. Now, if they go 7-5, then that's a little bit less so. But if they end the year 9-3, if they have a Power 4 win on their resume this year and they push for a Mountain West Conference title, hey, crazier things have happened before. But I look at Boise State, and the returning production metric doesn't blow you away. And their transfer portal class is not actually very extensive. Their recruiting class is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing exceptional about it. It's just, it's pretty standard run-of-the-mill Boise State recruiting class for the most part. And so then you think, well, on paper, what gives Boise State a massive advantage over everybody else? And the answer lies in their backfield. This is a high-end, capable Power 4 starting backfield. Ashton Jeanty, keeping Ashton Jeanty should be considered a portal addition almost, because when you look at the talent acquisition metrics that a site like 24/7 Sports uses, they're not taking into account guys who could have left but decided to stay. Right? That's where the returning production metric comes into play. And certainly Ashton Jeanty is just one player, but they've got, I think, decent chance, more than a decent chance perhaps, to be the best backfield in the Mountain West. So if Spencer Danielson continues to succeed as he did a year ago, and if Malachi Nelson hits anywhere near what his potential is, and he's learned from Lincoln Riley, so certainly he understands football decently well. He hasn't thrown a hefty number of passes in a college football game yet. That's the big question mark. And another reason why I kind of hesitate on Boise State being this huge, colossal favorite. But that backfield could succeed. That is a better backfield than a lot of Power 4 schools across the country. I mean, Malachi Nelson, big-time blue-chip 5-star quarterback recruit, and Ashton Jeanty was fielding NIL and transfer portal offers and ultimately decided to stay at Boise State. He was a part of a uniform reveal that I thought looked pretty darn slick and excellent. So the next team that I want to talk about is one that I mentioned, UNLV. So if I asked you right now, who has the best, according to 24/7 Sports, transfer portal class in 2024 in the Mountain West, would you guess UNLV? Probably not. But the number of players they are having drop down from the Power 4 ranks, they've also added a guy in Cyrus Webster to the backfield who I have called at the FCS level. I've done play-by-play while he was on the field, and that dude's a football player. That is an absolute dynamite football player. I think that is a really, really under-the-radar addition for the Rebels there. I said Cyrus Webster, and I meant to say Kylan James. I was thinking of a different guy who played at Utah Tech, but Kylan James is the name that I'm thinking of there. He came from Central Arkansas. I have seen him run the football. That guy can be a really, really nice piece in the backfield. But UNLV's transfer portal class is a testament to the job that Barry Odom and his staff have done down there in Las Vegas, revitalizing what has been an incredibly dormant, untapped potential sort of program. And they've got a pretty strong recruiting base there in Las Vegas. You see blue chip guys coming out of there at high schools like Bishop Gorman and Liberty essentially every year. This has not been an easy job. You go look at the last 20 years in UNLV football, it's been bad, terrible. The wrong hires, guys that didn't work out. They tried Marcus Arroyo from Oregon. That wasn't great. Bobby Houck from Montana. No, he didn't work once he left Big Sky Country. And suddenly they bring in Barry Odom, and it's starting to move in the right direction. Now, they have a quarterback change since Jaden Maiava kind of curiously went to USC. That's one of those quarterback transfers I understand, but I also don't fully understand. It's not as if you're playing at UNLV, you can't get drafted in the NFL. If that's your goal and you had the starting quarterback job, and look, maybe he knew internally something that we do not, like he wasn't going to be the starter, but gosh, I watched him last year and he looked pretty darn good. So UNLV has a preseason win total of 7.5, and they're receiving the second most votes in the Mountain West preseason media poll to win the conference. And the reason I talk about this on today's show is to once again remind my everydayers or any new listeners out there that a group of 5 team is going to make the playoff. And I think the likelihood that that group of 5 team comes from either the Mountain West, the American, or the Sun Belt is 90+%. I think Liberty's good. I talked about them earlier this week on the show, though. They have such a weak schedule. They'd have to go undefeated again. And can you win 26 consecutive games against non-Power 4 opponents? Look, Liberty's got a good quarterback. They have got a good coach. They're going to be the favorites to win Conference USA, and they'll have a chance to make the playoff as the Group of 5 team. But that's asking a lot because that's what they'll have to do. They were 13-0 last year. Then they went into the Fiesta Bowl, and Oregon beat them 45-6. And now they go back, and they play an incredibly weak schedule with not a single Power 4 team on it. If they run the table, they'll be in consideration. I think even one loss could deprive them of the opportunity, and frankly, I think it should, because they do not have a strong schedule, and Conference USA is not on the same level as the Mountain West or the American. So Boise State being the preseason favorite makes a good deal of sense. I just don't know that the gap is as wide as that poll indicates. I think that is a pick on Spencer Danielson and the momentum he had at the end of last year. And that's frankly another question in addition to quarterback. I don't question Ashton Jeanty. That guy can do everything. That is an NFL football player. I would take him on my NFL team. I'm a Seahawks fan, and I mean, we don't need running backs, but if we did, I would draft Ashton Jeanty in the 3rd round, and I'd feel exceptional having him as an early kind of number 2 back in his career, and then moving to be a number 1 back as time progresses there. So I like the upside of the backfield. I just don't know. Now, UNLV has got a more experienced quarterback compared to Malachi Nelson, but is he as talented? We'll see. We'll see. And Boise State will get an early test. The second week of the season, they go to Eugene and they play Oregon. That's a national title contender. If Boise State goes into Autzen and plays Oregon closer than they are comfortable, and Boise State has been a thorn in Oregon's side for a very, very long time, if they go in and make that game closer than it perhaps should be, than the betting line might indicate, we don't know what the line is, then Boise State may very well be worthy of being such a massive favorite. They have a plus, it was 125 last I looked for Boise State to win the Mountain West, which for conference championship odds, pretty crazy. I mean, that is pretty darn crazy. It's 120, plus 120. And then you've got Fresno State and UNLV in there. So I think Fresno could absolutely be solid. I trust Jeff Tedford. I think UNLV is really, really intriguing with the roster and the program momentum that they have. I'd pick Boise State as the favorite. I just don't know if it should be viewed as a Grand Canyon-sized gap between them and the next team, and therefore a team that pushes for the college football playoff this year. I think the Mountain West has a great chance to get into the playoff this season. You probably need a team that has 2 losses or fewer. Could any of those teams do it? Yeah. Wouldn't surprise me. If you tell me right now, Boise State, Fresno State, or UNLV end the year 11-2, I would not be shocked. Appreciate everyone listening. I will see you next time, and until then, hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.